Here's a review of the Zulay Magia Super Automatic Coffee Espresso Machine. This machine hands down makes the best coffee that I have ever had, but it makes you work for it. Let me explain. So I'm an avid coffee drinker. I help keep Starbucks in business. And for a long time I was using drip coffee, and then I went heavy with K-cups just because of the convenience. Now this is leagues above a K-cup. Now if you're used to drinking drip coffee, you'll understand what I'm saying, but K-cups taste honestly like dog water after drinking from this coffee machine. But it's nowhere near as simple as just popping in a K-cup and having some coffee. So basically, to start off, you have this back here, and this is where you put your whole coffee beans into, which it grinds them up, which is one of the coolest things I've seen from a coffee maker. You don't have to do any extra work besides just dumping them in there. And then you have this little guy here where you can put ground coffee into. So you just switch the machine to ground if that's what you like to use. But I find it easiest just to use the whole beans. You then gotta make sure that your water is full, and that's gonna be behind this flap here. A little inconvenient to get to be honest, because it's in the far back, and I'm assuming most people have their coffee machine up against the wall. But basically you lift this up and you pull it, slide it out, fill it up, put it back in, and you're good to go. Next, you're gonna place your mug underneath. And to avoid splash over and messes, it's actually really cool. You can put this down a little bit farther and go from there. And then you're gonna go to this little screen here and pick what you want. There are a ton of options, and you can get creative and make your own if you want. But what I do, I actually have a morning routine. I start with an espresso, which is just nice, strong, concentrated coffee. And then after I drink that very quickly, I then go to an Americano, and that's the one that I sit down with and enjoy my breakfast, or just my morning is just a straight black Americano. I prefer to not use any creamer or sugar or anything like that, and it tastes amazing. It also depends on what coffee you're using, but I've tried a bunch of different whole bean ones, cheap ones, expensive ones, and they're all great with this machine. But just to show you, I will do an espresso. We're just gonna press the button here. You're gonna hear it grinding up the coffee beans. And there's also a meter to show you how far along the process it is. And you can also hear a lot of noises being made by this thing when it makes coffee. But here we go. It does have a dual coffee dispenser, which is really nice because you can do a double espresso. For instance, you just set one here and then one on the other side, and you can do a double at the same exact time, which is amazing. Now you're probably wondering what this little guy here is for, and this is for milk. This is how you make your flat whites, your double flat whites, your cafe macchiatos. And basically you're gonna take a cup of milk, and then you just shove it into the cup of milk, and then it kind of sucks it up the straw and then makes this frothy, foamy, hot milk mixture drink, which is really, really cool. That's the only way that she drinks her coffee. She usually goes with a cafe macchiato or a latte. But either way, you can't go wrong. That's a really cool feature. So hands down the best coffee you're gonna be able to make from home, I can guarantee that. But it does come with a couple drawbacks. For instance, you see this little cup of water right here with the tube into it. That's how you clean the milk suction, which isn't that big of a deal, but it's on its own self timer, so it'll just do it at random times. So what I've done is I've gone in here and changed it to a 24-hour setting, but it will also do it when you turn it off or turn it on. So I leave mine on 24/7, and then every 24 hours it'll clean itself. So you'll just put a cup there when you're ready for it, or just leave it off and then set the cup of filtered water there when you're ready to turn it on. And then I will leave an empty cup, or I guess a dirty cup or mug here to collect the excess, because it'll draw from the back reservoir to clean the machine, and then it'll draw from here to clean the milk suction part of the coffee maker. But sometimes I've noticed that even with this mug here, it'll still fill into the drip tray. You'll see this has like a little bobber, and this lets you know that there is water inside. And if you lift this up, you can see that it is filled, and this is only past a couple of days. So I'm not sure why it fills up the cup, and then I just clean that out every few days. What is cool though is you'll notice that it says drip tray missing. This thing knows everything about itself. It knows when the side doors open, it knows when there's not enough coffee beans, it knows when there's not enough water. One last thing I need to mention is that there is a little door here, and this has they call them the coffee cakes. And basically it takes your coffee after it grinds it up and turns it into these little cylinder coffee cakes. So then you go and dump that when it says it's full. But I have noticed, kind of hard to see, but you'll see that the coffee grounds are kind of everywhere. This big brown thing comes out and you can clean inside of it, but every so often you are gonna have to clean in there, because even though it has a drip tray, it just kind of spills everywhere every now and then. Now, as I mentioned before this, I strictly use K-cup and Keurig machines. So I'm used to just popping in a K-cup and going for it. So those of you seasoned with espresso machines and super automatic machines like this probably know that there's some work behind it. It's just something that I had to get used to. It's not the worst thing in the world, because the trade-off is that I get amazing coffee. So all in all, amazing coffee, the best that I have ever made at home, hands down. Makes me work for it a little bit, but that just makes me love it more once I finally sit down to taste it.